What will a believer do who has now divorced and since remarried? Are they living in sin, and do you think they should divorce and try to reconcile with their former spouses?
There was a video that was released by me or my team where it was talking about the sin of sexual sin cannot take you to hell. But most people did not really listen to that video. Most people just saw the title and began to dispute it and write all kind of things. But the main idea of that message is the fact that, we are hooked on sin, which is unfortunate. We are too focused on sin. And in Christendom, we now think that sin is the most important thing. Just avoid sinning. But what is sin in your mind? What you don't even think could be sin could be sin. And most of the things that we think, we just have a few lines of sins. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't sleep around. But we don't even know what sin is. So when somebody remarries and they're already married and they're Christians, we think that because of the act of what they have done, that might mean that they are sinning. But in this kingdom, if you really understand this kingdom, you will know that things that take people to hell, yes, sin as we know it, physical sins and things like that could be part of it. But that is not the primary thing that takes people to hell. The primary thing in the kingdom, in the New Testament, that is the most important thing in the New Testament is relationship. People's relationship with God. It is when either they have that relationship or they don't have it. And sin could break that relationship with God. But it is not the sin that makes you to go to hell. It is the broken relationship that takes you to hell. Sin can separate you from that relationship. It says that we have all sinned and have been separated from the love of God. The separation is where the problem is. So we think it is the same. People could still sin in our own eyes, but not get separated in their relationship with God. Not be separated from the love of God, in the sense that everybody sins every day. But that doesn't automatically separate you from the love of God. Especially if you are, what matters in the New Testament is, that's why it didn't give us commandments like 10 commandments in the New Testament anymore. He said the commandment is in your heart. It's only one commandment in the New Testament, the commandment of love. What I mean by relationship is, are you loving God? Are you deepening your relationship of love with Him? Or you are walking away from that love? Are you walking closer to God, or you are being separated from Him? Now, it is not only sin that separates people from the love of God. Sin is just one of the things that separate us from the love of God. Idols separate us from the love of God. The focus of our love separates us from the love of God. Our passion, where it is given to, or what is devoted to, separates us from the love of God. What we obey, what we give ourselves to in obedience, could separate us from the love of God. Our families could separate us from the love of God. Our children could separate us from the love of God. Our hobbies and love and what we are fascinated with could separate us from the love of God. So those things could take you to hell. But everybody's only talking about sin. That is the way it used to be in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, it's all about sin. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You did this, and you are being punished for it. In the Old Testament, sin is what you do or what you didn't do. In the New Testament, it's not about what you do. It's about where your heart is in relationship with God. Either your heart is drawing closer to Him or is drawing away from Him. That is why Paul says in Philippians chapter 3 that those who are perfect or who are matured should think of like this. How should they think? Forgetting those things that are behind and striving towards those things that are ahead. That is how perfection is in this kingdom. It is not your action, but where your heart is after. Where your heart is after, who is it going to after? Are you pursuing God or not? The pursuit of God's love, the unity with Him, the fellowship with Him. That is the big deal in the New Testament. And whatever breaks that relationship, the breakage of that relation, the separation, is what takes us to hell, or what determines if we know God or we are close to God or not. And sin could be an instrument of that separation, but that is not the only thing. Sometimes we are too much focused on actions, but in the New Testament, it is not actions and deeds anymore, it's relationship.
Okay, in other words, what matters is righteousness, consciousness. Like we are conscious of doing the right thing.
No. That's again action. Doing, again, you are talking about doing. No, is relationship consciousness. It is like, how am I walking with God? Like, God is with me. He is here with me. He lives in me. I live in Him. He said, in that day you will know that I am in you and you are with me. And, the awareness, the consciousness of unity with Him, knowing Him. It's not about deeds anymore, but it's about unity with God. So many people don't know that it's the heart thing, not the action thing. So in the New Testament, Jesus emphasizes heart rather than action. So it is very difficult for people to understand that, but that is the bottom line of the New Testament.
But I want to ask a question in regards to that, from what this person is saying. Now, if, for example, with human beings, now, if I have in my heart to please someone, I love someone, I want to please him or her, that's what is in my heart. But if my actions contradict what is in my heart, does it play a role in the relationship I have with that person?
Yes. But we are talking about God right now.
Yes.
Right?
So if our actions contradict the written word of God,
yes.
the Logos, what the Bible says,
yes.
does it affect our relationship with Him?
It contradicts all the time, even when you don't know about it. We do things that we don't even know. God is so much holy that the most righteous of us all, our righteousness will just be like a piece of rags. Even the most righteous of us all, even in the best we must have tried. All our righteousness is equal. In God's eyes, it's just like, dirty rags. So we must never depend on that, because we were not saved by works. We were saved by love. Wow. And it is love that will sustain us.
Okay. So in this situation about the couple, it is say that this couple are
just love God, build your relationship with God, move on with Him. And worry yourself less about the do's and don'ts.
The don'ts. Wow. It is said in the case of divorce, because I remember we actually addressed this on the show, that in the case of divorce, what is the person that walked away, you're free if someone walks away from you. But what happens to the person who walked away?
That's when they are Christians. That's what I'm saying, that when you get to the bottom of it all, it ends in your relationship with God.
With God.
Yeah.
So you don't need to separate with the person again, or just stay with that man.
You can do that if you feel God has led you to do that, and God is convicting your heart to separate. But if not, if you're at peace, the Bible says if your heart is not condemning you, who is it to condemn you?
Okay, so how can the church help believers who have been divorced and remarried without making them feel condemned?
That's exactly what I just did.
So
now.
How can a pastor or a church make this couple, like let's say a couple come to a church and they've been divorced before and remarried? So how can the church really make them feel not, condemned with this message of no divorce?
That's what I'm just done now. Okay. The church, any church should emphasize building of relationship of individual believer with the Father. The love relationship between the individual believer and God the Father, that should be primary. If God now convinces them, or the Bible convinces them of anything otherwise, then they could do that. But the pastor should not focus on, trying to, readdress a family that is, that's had some mistakes or failure in the past, and try to make it its own point of duty to try to mend the walls. I think it should just, glue them to God. That's the best any pastor could do.